Coming up on Bloom, meet disability advocate Emily Rowley, inspiring millions to live life to the fullest every day.
And not many people have it, but it's one of those things where I don't let it hold me back and I just continue to move forward.
And how content creator Mrs. Blinks creates a life full of magic. Plus, the Today Show's Joy Bauer is sharing her viral mango cashew coleslaw recipe. We'll have all that and more as Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, starts now. I'm Gayle Guyardo. Welcome to Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. Today we're going to help you live life alive, which is a lot different than just existing. Our next guest believes you can do that no matter what life throws your way. Disability advocate and content creator Emily Rowley was born with bilateral upper limb amelia. Basically, that means she doesn't have arms. But that doesn't stop Emily from living life to the fullest. Joining me now is content creator and disability advocate Emily Rowley. Emily, it's such a pleasure to have you on Bloom.
Hi, Gayle. Thank you for having me.
And congratulations. I understand that you just graduated.
Yes, thank you. I received my bachelor's degree in psychology at SNHU.
That is so exciting. Just another example of how you live life to the fullest. And you do so after being born with a rare disorder, but you say that never lets anything stop you.
No, when I was born with a very rare condition called microgastria, which has been shown to be linked with having scoliosis as well as the phocomelia. And not many people have it, but it's one of those things where I don't let it hold me back and I just continue to move forward.
Now, I know, your mission is to educate people year round, but July is Disability Pride Month. And tell me about your messaging.
Yes, for Disability Pride Month, I always like to look at it as it's not about the education aspect this month. It's more about saying I'm proud of who I am and I'm comfortable in my skin and loving you for your disability and being very open in the world with that.
And we have some really cool video that you shared with us. I mean, we'll start with you driving a car, something that you do with great ease.
Thank you.
So how are you able to do this?
So I use my right foot, as you can see in the video, to start the car, and from there I use my left foot with a steering knob to help assist me when turning the wheel, and then I have pedal extensions for my pedals just to kind of give me some gain to reach them. But other than that, those are my main modifications for driving. Yeah,
and you show people all kinds of things. I know you have millions of followers of how you do everyday things.
Thank you. Yes, it first started with me doing a video of me showering, and I received so much feedback about people asking me more questions of how I do other things. And I really wanted to use that as a platform to educate others and show that just because I have a disability doesn't mean I can't do everyday things.
Yeah, I was looking at your makeup is so meticulously put on, and your skincare, you glow.
Thank you.
Everything's, and you're there. I mean, from morning to night, you show folks how you live your life.
Yes. In the videos, I always say, doing them in 30 seconds, my day can be a little longer than that. Some of these videos take hours for me to do. So by the end of the night, I'm pretty tired and ready to go to bed.
Now, you talk about overcoming social media setbacks. What do you mean?
There's definitely been a few setbacks having a disability and also being a foot user. Sometimes I get categorized in an area that I don't necessarily want to be in or isn't going to highlight me in a positive way just because I'm using my feet. So I really try to get people to see that I'm using my feet, and my feet are essentially my hands. There's nothing different within that.
And what about your current life goals? I mean, we've seen you accomplish so much. What's next?
So currently, I've taken some time off from social media just for my mental health and physical well-being. And so right now, I'm actually working on my master's in forensic psychology and continuing my time at SNHU, as well as having a personal fitness trainer to really start working on my fitness goals as well.
That is really, really incredible. And when you say, because I think a lot of us think about, especially now where things can be so divisive, just taking that break from social media, because I think we don't realize how it could create so much angst in our lives.
Yes, with social media, there comes a lot of pressure, feeling like you need to continue to post every day and fears like that. And for me, I think it's really important to take that time to kind of focus. And again, you know, as you can see in some of the videos, I'm cooking things that wouldn't necessarily be healthy for every day. So really prioritizing my health first.
That is really incredible. But you must inspire a lot of people, just, you know, because it's so easy to get down in life, but then you're like, wait a minute, this woman can do everything.
Yes, I mean, I always say, like, you see things on social media, there are times where, you know, I'm having a day where I'm like, you know, frustrated with certain things, or maybe because I can't do something that someone with hands could do. But really just saying, I've overcome so much, not to let these minor setbacks be a thing that is what really takes me down.
That is really, really incredible. Are you able to interact? I know right now you're taking a break from social media, but when you were actively on it, are you able to interact with your viewers and followers, and do they reach out?
I've had many people where the question is, how is she replying in the comments? Because I usually like to try to get back to as many people as possible. Because for me, giving that engagement is the least I can do for having their support, you know. So I really want to be involved with my followers, and if they do have a question, you know, I'll let them know, hey, that video is going to come up next week, so you can look forward to, you know, having those questions answered, or recommending a video, and really making my followers and viewers engaged as much as possible.
And how do you answer when they say, how are you doing this? How are you doing it?
I use my feet to do all of my content filming, and I put it on a tripod. And, you know, when I'm responding to comments, typing it with my toes.
Now, well, as we talk about Disability Pride Month, what do you hope the big takeaway is for people that from, you know, not just, you know, watching your life, but others that handle disabilities every day?
With Disability Pride Month, I really enjoy the idea of it just being everyone as a society, you know, really making sure that their peers, friends, family, co-workers, making them feel involved if they have disabilities, you know, making sure that they know I'm supportive of you and I'm proud of you, even, you know, with your disability, and I'm here to support you in any way needed.
I think that's really incredible. And again, I think this is just all inspiring for folks. And so what do you think you're going to do once you graduate with your master's?
Once I graduate, I'm going to go ahead in and start looking at careers in psychology, whether that be clinical psychology, counseling, maybe even continuing within the forensic psychology. So just kind of keeping the doors open, and I'm just really excited to see what the next journey is.
Well, we're excited for you. You have such an incredible energy.
Thank you.
And we can't thank you enough for sharing it with our Bloom viewers.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and good luck with all your future ventures. You could always have a seat here at Bloom. We'd love to talk to you again.
You.
All right, we're going to share Emily's story, and you can read Bloom Tampa Bay digital reporter and producer Brody Waddell's full article on bloomtampabay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. Living life alive is about embracing each moment with intention, energy, and passion. Experts say it's all about your mindset that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Joining me now with ways to bring vibrancy to every aspect of your life is holistic coach Josh Valentine. It is always so great to see you.
Absolutely, likewise, Gayle.
So let's talk about the importance of living life in the present.
For sure. I always recommend for people to use the acronym LEAF, right? So think of it as the leaf of life. We all want to experience love. We want to experience empowerment. We want to experience those feelings of awe and fulfillment. So when you're living in the present moment, think about all of those emotions and how you can foster and sort of curate experiences to live in the present moment, but also with those specific experiences. And there's so many things that you can do in terms of living intentionally to make sure that you live a life where you're bringing out the best of your emotions.
And you say it's important to invest in experiences.
Absolutely. I personally have learned, just traveling to all the wonders of the world, all of the inhabited continents, spending tons and tons of money on travel over the years for myself and my family, that I never have regretted any dollar I've spent on a vacation. I've never regretted any money that I've spent on a distinctive memory, because when you think about it, the moments that flash before your eyes, when you really reflect on the past, what you're really reflecting on are distinctive memories that really stand out. So when you create and invest in these experiences, these peak life experiences, this is typically what you'll remember later down the road. So think about every vacation. You probably spent a little more than you should have, but have you ever regretted it?
No.
I mean, 3 months pass, you're like, man, I spent all that money, but after 3 months, 6 months, you're not thinking about it anymore, and you're actually happy that you followed through with it. So I always recommend to invest in experiences.
You know, it's interesting because when I was living in the news world, I never really got to take a ton of time off and go on these adventures. But in my new life, I made that a top priority because it's something I always wanted to do. And it's not to say we didn't go to the beach and do local things and create memories, but to your point, there's just something magical about making trips and making adventures a priority with the people that you love.
Yeah, most definitely. I always say here on this show that travel is the gift that keeps on giving. So you have the anticipation of the trip, then you have the actual trip, living present in the moment. And I always recommend to actually set your intention before having any specific experience, whether it's a trip, a family trip, or something abroad, or even domestically. Set your intentions for the type of experience that you want to create with yourself, with your family. And when you do that, I mean, just think about it. If you're very intentional before going in advance, you can say, how can I get this trip and make it a 10 out of 10 experience? You're probably going to think of all kinds of incredible things that you can do to amplify the overall experience. So I always suggest for people, like, just set the intention before, and if you do it in that way, you're going to have a much better experience.
Yeah, we're getting ready to take a family trip, and it's amazing because my friends will look at our social media and they'll be like, how do you guys plan these trips? We take a really long time. My husband and I will sit around the kitchen table on a Sunday morning before the kids get up, and we'll just get on our computers and just start talking and dreaming and taking notes and, you know, creating itineraries. And even that part of it is fun because it lets the dreaming begin.
Absolutely. And think about just even afterwards, right? The gift that keeps on giving. You guys are probably constantly talking about your experience in South America and how dynamic it was and all of the incredible things that you did, whether it was stopping over at a boutique shop and getting your husband some shoes, you know, right? And things like that you do, the coffee shop experiences, hanging out with locals, all of that stuff you reflect back on, and they're just phenomenal memories that you can just share with people that you love. So that's what I mean more than anything when I say travel is the gift that keeps on giving. When you go and you set your intention and you have this beautiful experience, they're just incredible memories that you can talk about. You're not going to talk about the vehicle that you bought, the house or the jewelry. When it's all said and done, you're going to talk about those peak life experiences.
Yeah, and it is interesting because while I take so much video, it comes with the territory of what I do for a living. I love visuals. You know, I only post just some of them, but I tell you what, when those flashbacks come on, you know how Amazon pictures or Facebook or anything, they send you remember when, and you look back and you realize, man, time flies, and it seems like yesterday they were that little, but that's part of what creates the fabric of who you are as a family, or whether you're traveling with friends. No matter how you're doing it, you're creating these memories of being alive. Most
definitely. And the biggest thing is when you have little ones as well, and this is for sure for the people with little children, you want to maximize on the time, because once they turn 18, as you know, you mentioned having a child out in Boston, and it just, you have less and less time as they get older. They have their own lives. So creating those memories for even just other people, not just for yourself, but for the people that you love. And it's so amazing when you have those conversations, how their experience was. It's like completely different than what you experienced, but it's beautiful to hear how dynamic it was for them. So that's the power of, you know, putting together these vibrant experiences overall.
And you talk, last but not least, I want to make sure we get in the mindset of this, because I know there's a lot of folks out there like me where I wasn't almost. I used to be scared to
Yeah.
travel. I lived in such a box that
sure.
I didn't want to leave my comfort zone. But it's amazing what you can do if you set the right tone with your mind.
Oh, most definitely. It's all attitude, 100%. You have to branch out, but that's what makes it so exciting, right? You go and you're kind of nervous about it, but then when you actually get there, and sometimes you'll have people say, be careful when you go out there.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah,
seeing
yeah,
things
yeah,
on the
yeah,
news,
yeah.
but then you get out there, you're like, this is actually a lot safer than back home.
Right.
And it's overall incredible. So I always suggest when you go to these places, just make the most of it. Take time. I love the fact that you mentioned slow traveling earlier, because that's what it's about. It's truly being in the present moment and creating a moment of awe. What is a moment of awe? Those moments, and you've had them, I'm sure, Gayle, where you're just like, wow, this is incredible.
It's incredible.
And when you're looking back at your life, those moments of awe are going to be the ones you truly remember. So go out there and create your moments of awe.
Thank you so much, Josh. We appreciate you. We're going to share Josh's advice on bloomtampabay.com. And when we come back, content creator Mrs. Blinks is here with ways to find and create a life full of magic. Bloom will be right back. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. We're back, helping you live life alive, and content creator Diana Blinkhorn, known as Mrs. Blinks on social media platforms, has made it her life mission to help people find the magic in every day. Joining me now is Mrs. Blinks herself. It is so great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
We always love it when you come on, Bloom, because you really teach people how to live life full of magic.
That's what I hope. Through our social media channels, we really want to inspire families to kind of step out of their comfort zone and follow their dreams, do the things they've always wanted to do.
And you've done this with small children,
Yes.
during all times, and it really is cool to see your travels. So talk to me a little bit about your latest trip.
Yes, so we had a bucket list trip that we have been planning for well over a year, and it was to go and visit a place but stay a longer amount of time, to live like a local essentially, versus just traveling quickly, staying a week or two. We wanted to see what it would be like to live like the locals do. And so we actually, in the beginning of this year, were living in Portugal.
And so how did it go? What did it feel like to be a local?
Oh, it was incredible. It was incredible. And I think if you get a moment to watch our social media channels, you'll see it really was impactful for not only myself, because I have a Portuguese background, but my husband and my 3 girls. It was such a beautiful experience for us, so much so that we left crying. So I think that kind of speaks to how important this experience was for us.
So what would you say are some steps to take as travelers to get a more local experience versus a tourista vibe?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I hope to inspire other families to do this. I think the first thing you want to kind of determine is, where do you feel that connection? So for us, because my family is Portuguese and we had been to Portugal before, doing more of like the vacation type trip, seeing all the hot spots and tourist spots, we knew it was important for us to kind of take that next step. So the first thing would be to find a place that really you feel connected to. And then I would look at kind of doing things that aren't necessarily advertised online. So versus going to those hip, trendy restaurants, maybe find a little local mom and pop. And then just spend time having slow days. Wandering the streets was our favorite thing to do. And you wouldn't believe the fun things that we would find just going into little shops and talking to locals. We found the most fun. We went one night to a traditional Portuguese fado restaurant, which is like this type of slow music that has a lot of emotion to it. And we met the nicest people, and we spent hours there just listening to them sing and tell their stories, and it was so impactful for us.
And you say this slow travel trend is a growing one.
It really is. I think people really want to feel connected to the places they visit, and the way they do that is through the locals and the local community.
That must have been so exciting for your children, because I think all of us, not just kids, we see life kind of myopically through
Yes.
only our lens. But when you see it through a different lens, it's so enlightening.
It really is. And I know I keep saying this, but that happens through the people that you meet. When you get to hear their stories and what their daily lives are like, that is where I feel it changes you the most because you start to appreciate what they appreciate, which when we were in Portugal was a lot of focus on family. You know, we would have these 3-hour lunches because they wanted to really speak with you. There weren't phones at the table. They wanted to talk with you and spend time with you and genuinely get to know you. And I really do think that my girls walked away from that experience learning a lot.
I want to share with our viewers, because while you have been on Bloom before, I mean, hopefully we have new viewers joining us every day. And I think it's really cool how you pivoted your life to kind of live it. And I look at it from a mom who was kind of a rat on a wheel. And I'm like, gosh, life flies by, and yet you have figured out a way with your husband and your kids to enjoy each other while traveling.
Yeah, you know, I was in the same boat. I felt like I was overwhelmed. I felt anxious. And these days were just going by so fast. My kids were getting older, and I had all of these dreams, these bucket list ideas of things I wanted to do. And I just kept saying, like, oh, maybe next year, or maybe when we have this much money, or maybe when we have more time, or maybe when it'll be a little easier. And I don't know, just one day I decided I wanted to stop waiting for this one day, and that there was no better time than right now. And it definitely hasn't always been easy. It's come with its fair share of problems, but we try to share that on our channel to try to show people, like, it's not always rainbows and butterflies. There are some really tough parts about it, but if you look at the big picture, it is completely worth it.
And even down to packing tips. I mean, when people watch your channel, including myself, I mean, you learn a lot. I mean, thanks to you, I travel all with Europe with a carry-on, and
That's
it's
great.
You know, easy to do.
I'm so glad. That makes me so happy. I just want to, like I said, inspire families to kind of take all of these things that could potentially block them from following their dreams and show them how, hey, you can actually pack light, and that'll take a whole lot of stress off of your plate and make traveling so much easier for you, especially with young kids.
Yeah, and I admire you so much, because one day, you know, I'm a bit older than you, and I'm watching them leave the house one after the next, and you really don't get that time back. So again, so many props for enjoying life and living it to its fullest. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you want to make sure that you follow Mrs. Blinks on social media, and we're going to share all of her travel tips on bloomtampabay.com. And when we come back, it's time for this week's What the Health with the Today Show's Joy Bauer. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. Welcome back to Bloom. It's time for this week's What the Health with the Today Show's nutrition, health, and lifestyle expert, Joy Bauer. And Joy, I hear you have a mango cashew coleslaw recipe that went viral on social media.
I do. This whole week has really been about coleslaw, and it makes me so happy because when the warmer weather hit, summer is here, I am all about the sides. And I feel like for a lot of people, coleslaw is the most popular one. It's super simple, but typically, Gayle, it is filled with mayonnaise and sugar. So I'm going to show everybody how to make two sort of out of the box renditions that I think are going to become favorites in everybody's house. But I also, before I get into the recipes, I want to pay homage or tribute, so to speak, to the star of the show when it comes to coleslaw, cabbage, because I don't think it gets enough love.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Aside from the satisfying crunch, I mean, it has an epic crunch. Of course, we all know that it brings to coleslaw. Although, truth be told, when it sits in the refrigerator and it gets a little bit soggier, I love it that way too. But the reason that cabbage is so great, first, it's super crunchy. It has fiber. It has some vitamin C. It has some vitamin K. It's super low in calories. But I think the premier nutrient is something called glucosinolate. And the reason that that's very important is because we have some studies, we do need more, but we have some studies that show that this compound is connected to a lower risk of estrogen-sensitive cancers, for example, like breast cancer. And the key is when you want to reap the most benefits from cabbage, you want to be eating it raw or lightly steamed. And so coleslaw is pretty much a perfect food for this because obviously we don't cook the cabbage, we have it raw. And I'm showing here, you know, if you don't want to shred a big head of cabbage, you could pick up the bags of the pre-shredded coleslaw blends. They even have them in, you know, like the plain purple cabbage colors. So you just could make it very easy on yourself. But I hope everybody tries these recipes.
So how do we put it together?
Okay, so this one again is a mango cashew coleslaw, and it doesn't have any mayo whatsoever, and it's so simple. So we have a video, and basically what I do is I'm just adding the pre-shredded cabbage. I add red onion in there. I have the mango slices in there. That was just red wine vinegar with a little bit of soy sauce and lime juice, and that's it. I sprinkled on my cashews, of course. You mix it up. If you could see the amount that I make, Gayle, I have a great big bunch of people that are always at my house. So this makes 10 cups, but certainly if people are feeding a smaller crowd, you could half the recipe. It'll stay fresh in the fridge for about 3 days. And again, even though it loses a little bit of its crunch appeal when it sits in the fridge, I actually love it because it sops up all those delicious flavors, and I don't know, it just makes it maybe that much more delicious. And you can use fresh mango, or I'm showing here, I sometimes buy the bags of the frozen mango chunks. It just makes it super simple, and I'll slice them up and then I'll just throw them right in. It thaws very, very quickly. Or you can eat the mango chunks right out of the bag.
That's perfect. And you recently featured a buffalo coleslaw on the Today Show, but I understand you're putting a little Bloom twist on it with some chicken?
Okay, we are taking this to the next level. So I'm calling this my buffalo chicken slaw, and we're basically transforming a yummy side into a satisfying protein-packed meal. So all you do, it's pretty much the same recipe until we get to the chicken. All you do is you're going to add into a bowl, I think that we have video to roll, the shredded cabbage again. And so do we have that video?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to, first we're making the sauce. Gayle, forgive me.
Okay, that's okay.
The sauce has a secret ingredient. That was cottage cheese. So I add in cottage cheese, a little bit of Greek yogurt, your favorite hot sauce, and some smoky paprika and cayenne to really kick it up. It blends up smooth and velvety, and then you're just mixing it with that the coleslaw blend. And I like to put on, some scallions as well. So here comes the sauce again. It's a buffalo creamy, protein-rich sauce. Then I have my shredded chicken together with the cabbage. I toss it with the velvety sauce. You could add as much as you want of the sauce. I would start out with just 3/4 cup, and then I drizzle on more of your favorite hot sauce afterwards because I love a kick. You know, I'm a spicy girl over here. And for the chicken, I just want to mention, I generally will take the easy way out. Certainly if you have leftover chicken in your fridge, you could just using your fingers, shred it up. Or I like to buy a rotisserie chicken at the market. They're super budget friendly. You could basically get them at any grocery store. And I pull off the skin, and then I take the breasts and I take the thighs, and I just go, get busy with my fingers and I shred. And you'll typically get, I would say, 3 cups worth of shredded chicken from a rotisserie. Just, an easy step for everybody to know.
I absolutely love this. We only have seconds left, but I got to tell you, I like the healthy spin on these recipes and the fact that they're so filling and you're getting like all the vegetables you need and a little dash of protein. So Joy, as always, thank you so much.
Oh, you got it. Have a great week. And I'll be back with some more deliciousness next week.
We cannot wait. Mwah. You can follow Joy on social media like I do and see her recipes go viral. Of course, we post them on bloomtampabay.com. And before we go to break, it's time for today's Bloom trivia question. The term coleslaw originated from what language? Dutch, Italian, or French? We'll find out later on Bloom. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We begin where your checkup ends. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.
The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by Your Biotics LLC on behalf of Dr. West Approved.
Staying hydrated, especially during our record-breaking heat wave, is critical for your overall health, especially if the power goes out during severe weather. Joining me now to share a great way to be prepared is chiropractic physician Dr. Jeffrey J. West. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Gayle. Appreciate it.
So we've been experiencing record heat waves really across the country. And if the power goes out like it does so often here in the Bay Area, then you're left thirsty and dehydrated.
Sure. You get dehydrated. You get thirsty as the first step, and your body will cascade down. you don't heed the warning and do the wrong things with dehydration, you're going to sink down and down and down to where you get into heat exhaustion and then you get into heat stroke, which are pretty serious. The end stage of heat exhaustion is you get tired and people opt for the wrong things. The wrong things, like when people go out to the beach or go out to a sporting event, they take a cooler of beer, a cooler of coffee, iced coffee, or the sugary drinks. Those are the worst things because they dehydrate you. Alcohol dehydrates, caffeine dehydrates, and sugar dehydrates the body. So you need to do the right things, and people must do the right things because heat exhaustion leads to heat stroke, which leads to death, and it needs to be handled. So you need to eat fresh fruits, preferably organic fruits and vegetables that are water-based. That's the best way to get good water into your system. But you need extra electrolytes when you're sweating profusely. So we came up with a product that handles so many problems, especially dehydration. In dehydration, you need to have salt. You know, when you're sweating profusely, your sweat is salty, right? So you need to put the salts back. So in our product called Prolights, we have probiotics with electrolytes. We have electrolytes like Celtic sea salt, which is a broad spectrum salt to get all the minerals back in your system, because you need to eat about 2 bunches of bananas to get the basic amount of potassium. So we have a lot of potassium in here. We put it with probiotics so you can absorb it, because most of the products out there, your body can't absorb them because they're synthetic based, or they're just not in an absorbable form, and most people who take antibiotics have a bad gut.
Right.
So we put the probiotics back in the gut so you can absorb the electrolytes so you can stay hydrated. And I have a top power lifter who's on the strongman competitions every year competing, loves this stuff. I've got another entrepreneur, a popular piano guy out there who loves this stuff, takes 4 scoops of this a day because these high performers need extra in their system to go at a high level. And in 29 years of being in practice, that's all I do is solve people's problems. And now we've got products to solve so many more people's problems.
Can I put this like in a smoothie? Can
Yes.
you use it every day?
You can put it in a smoothie. It's got a very hint of watermelon and salt. It's called salty watermelon. And you can put it in water. It by itself, it's a refreshing drink. It's not overpowering taste, but you can put it in a smoothie. Our kids, when they were younger, got everything we have in smoothies. And the kids, you know, they're very finicky. They'll never know what's in there, but
Right.
they're getting good stuff in their system.
But this is so important because people are walking around lethargic with headaches, not feeling well,
Exactly.
not realizing that they're dehydrated. So being proactive about this is critical.
Yeah, when you're tired, you don't want an energy drink because caffeine dehydrates you. And actually, that's the last phase of heat exhaustion. That goes into heat stroke, sunstroke, which is not good. So yeah, you need to start with good stuff. So good water, either filtered water or something in glass. This is glass. Plastic, especially the thin plastic, is full of microplastics. And our product actually handles microplastics in the body as well.
So it kind of cleans out the system.
It cleans out everything. Microbiology cleans out the environment. It cleans out toxic waste site, human waste. It cleans up pretty much anything, including human bodies. And your friend Kevin Harrington and my friend Kevin Harrington, our product, Your Biotics, is what fixed his 40-year gut problem that he's had.
I know, he told me all about that. So
Yeah.
that's why we were so excited to share this with our Bloom viewers. Dr. West, thank you so much.
Yes, and this is so new, he hasn't gotten it yet.
Okay, I'm gonna jump on you, Kevin. Visit drwestapproved.com online or the Your Biotics store, now available on Amazon. Bloom will be right back.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by Your Biotics LLC on behalf of Dr. West Approved. The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by St. Luke's Cataract and Laser Institute.
Welcome back to Bloom. Having a clearer, glasses-free world through LASIK can be life-changing. Joining me now from St. Luke's Cataract and Laser Institute to talk about LASIK surgery is refractive surgeon and medical director, Dr. Robert Howard. Dr. Howard, thank you so much for being here. So who is a candidate for LASIK surgery?
So really anyone who has a need for glasses or contacts to correct their vision would potentially be a candidate for refractive surgery. Some patients are better candidates than others. Typically patients in their 20s and 30s tend to be great candidates for LASIK, but there are a wide range of patients who can benefit from the surgery.
So what does the actual surgery look like?
So the day of the procedure, patients are with us for about 2 hours. When they first come in, measurements are repeated, so we get very precise information to program the laser to give a customized treatment for each eye that's treated. Surgery takes about 20 minutes, and by the end of the day, they're seeing better.
That's great. Now, what about the recovery time?
So, typically within 24 hours, there's significant improvements in vision. The day of the surgery, the vision can be a bit blurry, but by the next day, they wake up and they can see the clock.
Can you talk to me a little bit about some success stories from one of your patients?
So one recent surgery was a female in her early 30s. She was in law enforcement, and her particular job required that she could not wear glasses or contacts. And so she was able to have surgery, and I was able to do that job.
That is really, really incredible. And you must hear, doctor, all the time life-changing stories with patients who go through this LASIK surgery.
Correct. It's very rewarding, and I've had surgery on my own eyes, so I know firsthand how life-changing it can be.
Now, is this for nearsightedness, farsightedness? How does it work?
Well, it corrects both nearsighted, farsighted, and astigmatism. Tends to work best for nearsightedness, but with recent technological improvements, astigmatism is much easier to treat than it used to be. So there's definitely a wide range of patients who can benefit. So
now if folks are watching today and they're like, hey, I think I want to, move forward this, do they just come in for a screening or a visit? Yep. So the first step is just give us a call. We set up a time to come in, and we do several measurements of the eyes to get all the information needed to do surgery. We talk about different approaches. There's different kind of sub-surgeries within what we call LASIK refractive surgery, and give a customized treatment for each patient. I want to talk a little bit about St. Luke's legacy and how long you've been in the Tampa Bay area, because when people are making decisions when it comes to their vision, it's important to them to know, the long-standing reputation that you've had in this community. Yeah, so St. Luke's has been around since the late 60s, and we've expanded over the years and just have our newest office now in Wesley Chapel with a brand new laser there, and so we're ready to go. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the brand new laser, because keeping up with technology is also extremely important, and that is something that St. Luke's does. Absolutely. We have the most up-to-date technology. As I said, able to provide a customized treatment for each eye that has surgery. And we're just talking LASIKs, but you provide all kinds of options for folks to see better. Absolutely. If one's not a candidate for LASIK, there's often other procedures that would work well, particularly a surgery called a clear lens exchange, which is very much the same as cataract surgery, which is what St. Luke's was founded upon. Well, doctor, thank you so much for sharing this with our Bloom viewers. We certainly appreciate you. Thank you. And for more information, you can visit stlukeseye.com or call 888-308-3009. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by St. Luke's Cataract and Laser Institute.
Welcome back to Bloom. As top athletes and reporters prep for the Paris Games, anxiety is common because of the combination of competitive pressure, media attention, and physical exertion. Here to weigh in is licensed psychologist Dr. Stacy Schechner. It is so great to see you.
Great to see you too, Gayle.
So performance anxiety is very, very real.
It's very real, and it's very common, and it's normal for everyone to get, even the reporters, to get nervous before they're on. I'm wondering, do you get nervous before you're on?
I do when I'm filling in on somebody else's show where it's not my area, where I'm, so yes, and being in a spotlight like that on a world stage, can really bring on a lot of pressure. How does it manifest?
It could manifest in insomnia or interrupted sleep, in either lack of eating, overeating, getting in the loop, I call it, in your brain, not being able to get out of your head, being so nervous that you're unable to perform. So there's many different ways in which it can manifest.
Now, I know sports psychologists in general work with athletes to help them get through this.
Yes.
What are some of the techniques that are used? Because I would imagine it would apply to anybody dealing with anxiety and, pressure.
Absolutely. The first thing that you want to do is try to stay in the moment. Try to be who you are, be in the moment, and breathe and stay calm. A lot of times we feel anxiety when we feel powerless, we feel out of control, we don't know what's going to happen. So if you can tell yourself you are in control, you're human, it's okay if you make a mistake, and take that pressure off of you. Just being conscious first and in the moment, that's the first step.
How do you cope?
Well, the second thing that you might do would be to think about all of the practice that you've taken. Think about all of the times that you went over exactly what you're going to do, what your coaches have said, what your peers have said. Have that positive visualization to center yourself, that you know you can do it when the pressure is not on.
Okay, that's very interesting, because it's almost like you're like visualizing the success of what you're doing.
And another technique that I work on with people is having a ritual. A lot of times, like with sleep, you know, first you go to the bathroom, then you brush your teeth, then you read a book, then you turn the light out. So with athletes and other types of performance anxiety, you want to have a ritual. This is the first thing that you do. This is the second thing that you do. And that helps them prepare and feel centered and stable when they perform.
Okay, so once you kind of go through these steps, is that part of the coping mechanism of it all?
Absolutely, that's part of it. Breathing, being conscious, being centered, positive visualization, and then having a ritual. Maybe the first thing you do is drink some water. The second thing you do is think about a loved one. The third thing you do is, and as funny as it may be, go like this and pat yourself and rub yourself. Every person has something different that makes them feel, I can do this.
We only have seconds left, but what if it does get worse?
If you do see that you're performing not where you should be, and you feel like you can do better, and the anxiety is going over your brain and not allowing you to perform, then I would seek professional help. They can give you tools such as fighting back negative thoughts, helping yourself not future trip and see yourself not performing. They can help you to cope better.
As always, it's such a pleasure to have you on, Bloom. Thank you for sharing these great tips.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to share this story and advice on bloomtampabay.com. And don't go away. We will be back with more Bloom right after this. Welcome back to Bloom. We wanted to extend a tremendous thank you to Tampa Bay for your support at the 2024 WFLA Bloom Health Expo. We partnered with our Tampa Bay Buccaneers to host the free one-day event. Folks poured into the Advent Health Training Center alongside the Bucs cheerleaders, Captain Fear, and our WFLA News family. Children had the chance to kick field goals, and families had access to a variety of free on-site health screenings. Vendors set up on the sidelines of the field, giving folks a chance to spend time learning more about the innovative healthcare available right here in Tampa Bay. We will be bringing you more updates about the Bloom Health Expo in the coming weeks, because this is something that we're committed to expanding as we work to help people in Tampa Bay live their healthiest lives. Well, it's time now for today's Bloom trivia question. The term coleslaw originates from what language? Dutch, Italian, or French? The answer is Dutch. Coleslaw comes from the Dutch term coleslaw with a K, meaning cabbage salad. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Bloom today. You can catch Bloom anytime by following us on social media. We're on all major platforms, so get a behind-the-scenes look at all of the innovative breakthrough health and wellness conversations and incredible guests that we have right here on Bloom. Well, we hope you'll tune in again on the next Bloom presented by Lifeguard Imaging. Chef Sergio Delphine is the owner of Chilpaya's Food Truck, is joining us in studio to bring us a taste of Veracruz, Mexico. And Hell's Kitchen celebrity chef Robert Hess combines Korean and Mexican food in a bold way with his new food truck. He's joining us in the Bloom Kitchen, giving us a taste. So stay healthy, everyone, and I will see you on the next Bloom.
Content segments during Bloom were paid for by Your Biotics, LLC, on behalf of Dr. West Approved, and St. Luke's Cataract and Laser Institute.
Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.